HBud23 here. Thank you for coming back for another reaction video. Best military experiences by mikeburnfire. As always, the links to the original video and channel are going to be down in the description below, so go ahead and make sure that you check them out. So, if this is your first time checking out the channel, a little background on myself. I was an 0311 in the United States Marine Corps, where I was a corporal and served from 2015 to 2019. Now, I went on 2 deployments. First one, spending primarily my time in Kuwait. Second one, going back to Kuwait, but then also getting to spend some time in Syria, and even got to do a pretty cool mission. As far as best military experiences go, it seems there's a lot more bad ones, but it's kind of the best military experiences, right, that tend to be more enjoyable, and they're just moments that you tend to remember a lot more. So when you do get these, whether it's just something that happens to you personally, something that happens to a buddy, or something that happens to everybody, they're very far and few in between, but very, enjoyable when they do happen. One quick example was in Syria. First off, it was my squad that was going out there, and when we went out there, we were out there for about maybe a month, right, before another squad who was over in Iraq, I believe, and I believe Al-Assad, they were going to be coming to us to help with the rotation of the sticks because we were having to stand post. Now, one of my buddies, very good friends that I still keep contact with today, was going to be coming, and I'm coming off post, right, and early in the morning because we had the night shift, and I'm pretty exhausted. I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna get a quick workout, get some food, go to sleep, and then wake up for QRF. And I see my buddy the moment I start to go inside our little house, and there's this big little just seeing someone else, right, they haven't seen in a while, because for the most part when you spend a lot of time, especially in close quarters, we were very kind of bunched up into rooms. We kind of get on each other's nerves, right? Very little things end up setting us off after spending so much time with each other. But then you see some new people, specifically one who's one of your best buddies in the Marine Corps, kind of lifts your spirits up. So I'm excited to kind of see what they have to say and see if we can make some connections. But before we get into the actual video, if you could do me just one little quick favor, hit that like button, subscribe. It takes about 2 or 3 seconds. It really does help me out a lot. And hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I do upload. So far, I've been pretty consistent for the past 2 weeks, which is good because that's kind of the rotation of videos. As far as I love doing, all the way back in the beginning of 2021. And so far, I managed to make them coming out at around 8 a.m. in the morning, about PST time. So without further ado, let's go ahead, get right into the video.
Did I tell you about the time I applied to be a fireman? No. I was looking for a job, and I saw an ad that said, "We need firefighters." Ooh. And I thought, awesome, I'm going to call and apply for this job. Because I just got out of boot camp. I am in the best physical state in my entire life.
Yes.
I'm in the reserves, so I have to do that on the weekends. But I still need a job for the weekdays. Maybe I could be a firefighter.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's kind of what it seems like a lot of military people tend to go to. I don't know too much about the reserves, but as far as people getting out from active duty, a lot of them either go HVAC, they'll go firefighter, police officer. Myself, and I don't know if I can say this. I mean, I don't see anything bad with it, but I'm in the process of trying to become a corrections officer, so hopefully that works out. But yeah, I mean, I tried being a firefighter too, although I was kind of unsure of how to start the actual process. I know you can volunteer and maybe they can help you out as far as starting it, but it was a little confusing for me. But then I saw a corrections officer come up and I was like, you know what, I want to do this.
So,
why not?
Yeah, I gave him a call and said, "I hear you're looking for firefighters." And they say, "Yeah, you think you'd be a good fit for the job?" I said, "Sure, I think I could probably do it. I've got the heart and soul for it." And they said, "Well, here's the thing. We're going to need you to join the U.S. Navy to be a firefighter
Oh my God.
in the U.S. Navy." And I said, "I don't think I can do that. Sorry."
Yeah, sorry. I don't think I can join.
I mean, think about it, Marines is technically a branch of the Navy, but yeah, as far as when he also said when he was getting out of boot camp, dude, I was in phenomenal shape. I had that nice balance of between strength, endurance, and speed. I think I lost 30 pounds, but I don't understand why they would want him to join the Navy. I mean, from what I understood, specifically from docs, right, in the Navy, a lot of times they would always be told, or they would find out that, hey, we know that you have all these skills as far as medical wise, but they're not going to transfer over if you want to be like a doctor or RN, right? Yeah, I mean, but it seems like here it can actually transfer over, right? Or, you know, I mean, at the very least, if you get someone who's a military member, again, I don't know about reserves, but completes the 4 years, gets an honorable discharge. For the most part, I feel like most employers typically tend to see, well, like, hey, you at least can be committed for 4 years, right? You can be, at least you have some form of discipline, some form, like you've been placed in a responsibility type role. So it definitely does look pretty good on the resume.
In the reserves in both the Navy and the Marines.
One man cannot have two masters.
Yeah.
I guess the Marines are technically a department of the Navy, but I can't be a watersmith and also a firefighter at the same time.
You just wanted to play with hoses, admit it.
Yeah. I wanted to cut out the middleman, get the hoses from one end to the other. Streamline this process.
I did have something similar to that where when I was like trying to find jobs, and I would go on like Indeed or other like job websites and small arms or firearms or something like that.
Your application said you had small arms. I don't think you're gonna be able to fit in this T-Rex suit.
No. I'm sorry, you misunderstood. The application was for I have small arms and I want people with long arms to get the soup off the top shelf for me.
I see.
So I went to apply for the job, and it's like, yes, we're looking for qualified people to enlist in the Army National Guard. And I'm like, close the tab.
Yo, that does happen quite a bit. When you find a job and it says like, hey, we'll give you like this type of salary, man. Or, hey, it's incredibly great, all these benefits. But then at the very bottom, it's usually there, it says, like, you would have to be joining, like you said, like the U.S. Navy, or you join the Marine Corps, you join the Army, the Air Force, Coast Guard even. And it's very... It's usually, it seems very trickery, right? Like they're trying to trick you into it.
Brilliant!
It's like, close the tab, get rid of it. That is the exact job that I just left. What they don't tell you about the Army when you enlist. Nobody told me this. Not one single person. And if they did, they told me like they were an auctioneer. And this part of the contract, and this part of the contract, sign right here, sign right here, sign right here. Sold! You are now in the U.S. military. When I joined the military, they said, okay, you have enlisted for 3 years. What they don't tell you is that your contract is for 8 years.
3 years active, 5 years inactive reserve.
Yep. I mean, honestly, my recruiters told me, so yeah, I was going to be 4 years active, 4 years inactive reserve, which I still think, since I got out in 2019 of June 15th, that means I got to go until 2023, June 15th. So that would be what? Give or take like a year and 3 months, roughly, right?
Yes!
That's how they get you. Every contract's about 8 years long.
That's how I got stop-lost and stuck in Iraq, so I was in for 5 years.
Yep.
When I got out of the military, I had to, once a year, I had to show up at the National Guard office and fill out paperwork saying this is where I live in case the Army had to call me back. Because at any point, they could have been like, we need more soldiers, so we're calling the people that are in the inactive ready reserve to go back in.
Okay, so with the inactive reserves, I mean, a lot of my friends are consistently telling me as far as like, hey, I mean, because they say, hey, you're a Marine, right? And I'm pretty sure anybody who's a vet can probably relate to this to some level. They always come to you and be like, do you think with like the whole Ukraine and Russia, do you think we'll go to World War III? Do you think they'll call everybody back? Do you think we'll employ a draft? And I go, bro, most of the time we never even knew when we were getting off work. We were literally told things at the very last minute. Hell, we could, but I think it's unlikely. But technically, if they wanted to, they could. And then, you know, I'll be recording videos at a barracks probably.
Into the reserve so that we can deploy them and they can die for their country. It'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be spectacular.
Yeah, that's about right, yeah. That's not a bad impression. Fool man can't get fooled again.
Fool me 3 times, can't get fooled again. That stupid laugh! That stupid laugh! Anyway.
I mean, honestly, for the most part, I've heard so for the Marine Corps at least, I've never seen someone get out and then end up going back in. I've seen people get out and then go for National Guard. I've seen people go for, I have a buddy that went to the Air Force, you know. So for the most part, people, I mean, if you do re-enlist for the Marine Corps, a lot of those people are doing it like back to back, or maybe they extend for like an extra 2 years. I had a buddy that did that, but for the most part, I never see people I haven't heard of any stories yet of people getting out of the Marine Corps and then going back into the Marine Corps, right? They typically go to a different branch.
You're good at replicating it.
I spent a lot of time watching him on TV.
I guess you did.
It just sounded like Butthead there.
Hey, baby, what's going on in Iraq?
It's just Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney and Joe. Why has nobody done that?
Coming soon to MTV.
Oh, hey there, Saddam. I noticed you have braces. I have braces too. Anyway.
Where are those weapons?
Where are those weapons at, Saddam? Oh my god. So I got out of the military. They told me I had to be in the inactive ready reserve, and every single year when I would show up to fill out the form, I would get inundated with, well, you really should consider joining the Army Reserves, not inactive ready reserve. If something happens, you could be made to go into the reserves anyway, so you might as well join the reserves because you might end up in it. Yeah. So you may as well do it now so it doesn't happen later. And I'm just like, I don't think that's how statistics work. I'm gonna play the odds on this one. I bet you guys won't call me back. And they never did.
You know.
As far as that 1 year thing for an active reserve, I've never had to do that. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing that. No one has sent me any type of paperwork. And none of my buddies have said anything about that. So, I mean, hell, I could have, but then again, dude, they will try to slick talk you in any way, shape, or form to try to get you to join, or at least join the reserves, or, you know, active. And it's very funny because they always say, you know, because usually when you say, yeah, like you're going to talk to the career planner as you're getting on, they say, so are you thinking about re-enlisting? And it's like, no, I want to get out. And then they go, why? And it's like, it's none of your business. I don't want to be here. It sucks. And then, I mean, for the most part, they're trying to make sure that you have a plan or something, right? So, like, you don't end up homeless, which, you know, happened a lot more back in the day because people were just getting out, didn't really know what kind of they wanted to do. But for the most part, they'll just say, all right, cool, no worries. And then they make sure they have a plan. But if it's like a first sergeant or sometimes sergeant major, right, they really try hard to convince you. And if they aren't able to, they're pretty much going to say, well, when you want to try to get back in, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Or they say something like, you know what, you're going to get out. Marine Corps is just going to keep going with or without you. And it's like, let me the hell out then. It's going to keep going. There's no reasoning to keep me here.
Oh, you could get called up at any time, so why not go ahead and sign up? That way you know reliably where you're gonna be.
I kind of figured that wouldn't happen to me.
Oh, what's the odds of me getting stop lost and fucked a second time?
Right? They kept telling me, well, if you enlist in the Army Reserves, you'll get a year and a half of stabilization time, which basically means that I can't be deployed in that year and a half.
Okay.
I call bullshit on that one because I've been in the Army for 5 years, and I know that if the Army wants to deploy me somewhere, they will just deploy me somewhere. Stabilization time be damned.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I pretty much told the story, I think one time in a previous video. One of my super seniors, right? One of the guys who's already been on 2 deployments, I believe he had a combat action ribbon. Yeah, because I believe my super seniors at that time were the only ones who had actually seen combat. And one of them was my roommate, which best time for me, right? Because nobody ever came into my room, tried to mess up stuff. But he had like about a month-ish, right? He had quite like a little bit of time before he actually got out. And I believe he had to really turn in his gear and everything, right? So one day when we were coming on a Friday and we were having a field day inspection, first sergeant comes in, captain comes in as well, and then he just asks this question like, hey, what are you doing for the weekend? Now, we had to lay out our gear because we were going to the field that following Monday, right? Bright and early. So they want to make sure we have everything. So they had us put all our gear that we're going to be taking on the bed, on the ground, just so they can make sure that we have it, right? So there's no way someone could say, oh, hey, I forgot something. Now, obviously, my super senior is not going to put his stuff out because it doesn't even have it. Now, as far as my first sergeant, as soon as the captain walked out, our first sergeant goes, he looks at the super senior and goes, you know, we can deploy you whether or not you have gear or not, like within a week before getting out, we could deploy you if we want. And I'm thinking in my mind, can they do that? I mean, I'm pretty sure they would do their hardest to do that just to spite the guy, even though, you know, he's getting out, he did his time. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's ever happened to someone, but you know.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that the people that were in the Army marching band that were told that they had stabilization time, and then they sent them to be part of a convoy in Iraq. pretty sure that they weren't too happy about the fact that you cut their stabilization time either.
Did you have a convoy with musicians?
I literally did run into musicians while I was in Iraq that were like, I'm in the army band. I don't even know why I'm out here.
Bro, that is that quote right there. I don't even know why I'm out here. Literally, I'm pretty sure every branch has that, right? A lot of times you're doing stuff, you don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it. There's this video where it says, hey, Staff Sergeant so-and-so, what are you doing? And the guy just kind of screams, what am I doing? I'm moving sandbags 15 feet that way. That's what I'm doing. Why? Doesn't look like I know. God, I forgot his name. But as far as when it comes to the contract, right, you are required to follow it, right? Like, you cannot break it. Otherwise, you know, you're going to face repercussions. But if the military, or in my case, the Marine Corps, wants to change that contract, they'll do it. They'll do it. I mean, honestly, that's a lot of the reasons why a lot of people, at least in the Marine Corps, tend to get out after the first enlistment. You know, it seems like very few stay in. It seems like, in my experience, the most people who stayed in were either really good at the job, or they had already gone to like either sergeant, right? I had a buddy who became sergeant, hated the Marine Corps, but decided to extend, and you know, he's getting out after that's over. But you know, I mean, other than that, it's probably admin Marines that might stay in a little longer because they're not having to deal with it. It's hard to discuss how much BS they go through and how much BS like people in the infantry would go through, right? But yeah.
They had them acting as a gunner on a vehicle because the army was so desperate for people.
Is that an Al Qaeda? Hold on, I got my trumpet. Hold on, I think I can play some Kenny G on this.
Just some terrorist. That's not Kenny G!
Play Freebird!
I can't play Freebird on this thing.
It's a trumpet, you idiot! You stupid terrorist!
I heard someone the other day say that their least favorite part of Freebird was the guitar solo. I'm like, that's what Freebird is!
I like the quiet part where nothing happens for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, the army was so desperate for people during the initial invasion in Iraq that they were taking members of the army band and sending them out into combat roles. At the time, women were not allowed to be in combat roles.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they got around it was, oh no, this is a convoy. This is a completely different thing. This isn't a combat role. They're just riding in a truck.
Of
You gotta
course.
have security on the truck, so put them in the gun turret.
Yeah.
It's not a combat role though. Not a combat role.
Nope,
not a combat role.
Absolutely not. Why would you ask that?
I honestly think I would probably say that the army was both the best and worst job I've ever had.
It has some high.
Wait, so I mean, I don't know how too serious he's being as far as like a band member being on the gun. I'm assuming you would want machine gunners there, at least, or at the very least, give them some training, like quite a bit of training, like a crash course. I would say skip all the BS, you know. I mean, well, I would say teach them everything first, and then start adding some stress as far as like some yelling, some gun drills, like running, setting up in different positions so they can kind of build up to it. Because you gotta understand, these guys, like band members, man, I only ever saw them at ceremonies. That's pretty much it.
Highs and some low lows.
Yep, it's had some really, really awesome and incredible moments, and other moments were just complete and utter total shit.
We're the top 3 high highs.
Ooh, the top 3 best moments of while I was in the army?
Yeah.
The convoy live fire mission. It was super fun, and it was the one where I was only supposed to do one, but I ended up doing all 3 of them. Like, I went on all 3 of them, and
Yeah.
it's like each convoy live fire was like 2 hours long. I went on all 3 of them because I had a grenade launcher, and other people didn't want to go. They were like, well, we got a bunch of like practice grenades here. We got too many practice grenades, so if you have a grenade launcher, give your grenade launcher to someone else and have them go on it. And I'm just like, yeah, can I just go all 3 times? I love shooting this thing. I'm getting real good with it.
I remember that story, and I assumed that would have been one of the top 3. Yep.
That one, what else?
3 great things happened. Here's one. Oh, fuck, it was just the one.
Oh, fuck, it was just the one.
Honestly, even like when I watch these videos, it seems like it's happening to him right now. It's really hard to think of it on the spot, right? Because I mean, it's so much. Which, you know, I should probably do one like off camera, write everything down, like top experiences, top worst experiences, and then just that way I can like better eloquently say them. But as far as like any type of field ops that we had, it was always a pain. Mainly because I know we're going to have to police call every single damn range, right? And as you're going, you realize there's a shitload of rounds that no one ever picked up, right? And obviously we're only getting the brass that's the shiny, right? And God forbid you miss one piece of brass, everyone's got to get online again. Please call all the way through.
No, just the fact that I learned so much about guns was really cool. And it was also very interesting. I don't necessarily want to say good or bad, but it was very interesting going to a country that's so vastly different from the United States.
Ah, yes, world experience.
Yeah, being in Iraq in a country that was so completely different.
Okay, well, before he gets to that, as far as that, like, I mean, going at that point, the only other country I'd been to was probably like Mexico, right? Now, when I went over to Kuwait for the first time, it was weird and kind of eerie as far as how flat everything was, and the fact that you literally could not see faraway buildings. It was weird. And then, as far as like the weather, I mean, it could be hot as hell during the day, and it could be freezing cold at night. And then at times when we would go from Jabber to Buring over in Kuwait, it was odd. There's like long stretches of just road, and then all of a sudden you see like a little, what would you call it, like a snack shack on the side of the road? Or you see just a bunch of tires, which I'm assuming outlines people's property. You see lots of camels. But people do not give two F's about driving on the road, dude. They're literally passing us on the little bus that we have, and you can feel the bus go. I can't tell you, like 2 times we almost crashed. I will say though, my favorite thing about it is that I probably had the best PFT and CFT that I had out there. I don't know if it was the elevation, right? But from what I understood is that it was a lot lower there. So everybody ran like their best PFTs out there.
My favorite part of the military is when I found out about MREs, and then I ate them for 2 weeks, and realized, uh-oh, I haven't shat in a while.
Oh, gee, that might be it.
Eventually, I did have to defecate, and it...
I will say, it does hurt a little bit, because it does make you constipated, so you don't have to, like, crap, right? During, like, if you're, like, in an actual combat area. There are these little pieces of gum, like, in the little red baggie, if I remember, that are, it's like a laxative, right? Now, again, kind of nasty, but when it does come out, there's a big relief, and it comes out solid.
Came out like a snake's jaw unhinged.
Oh God! Stop! Stop! That's horrible. That's horrifying. Oh my God! Oh my God! You put that image in my head, and now it will never go away. I hate you.
I don't know how nothing tore. And I was not the only one.
No, that happened to me too. I just preferred not to think about it. It wasn't ever described to me in such a visceral way.
How did that thing come out of me? That is basically a fire log.
I do remember thinking that several times, just going like to the bathroom and then like standing up, and just being like, call a medic, call a medic. That's not right.
Call a priest. Call the Ghostbusters. I think this is possessed. Speaking of food in boot camp stories, this is the first couple of weeks.
I will say, yeah, though, I was pretty excited for Emery's because I think the first one I ever tasted in boot camp was the lasagna one, which to me tasted really good. And then I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but as you start to just eat them frequently, especially if you're going to the field consistently, for me, it was more the taste of certain MREs that I could kind of like, I guess, stand, right? After a while, that started to dwindle until like the only one I could actually stomach was probably the tuna one, just because it was an actual brand product, right? Some of the other ones I would kind of scarf it down. They were just, not only the taste, but it would literally make me feel sick to my stomach. And I think there was like 2 times where I threw up, and I'm pretty sure a lot of those were expired, right? Now, not by a little bit, but like damn near years, which to the point where we were in ITX. And the MREs that we had when we were doing the Range 220, right? The big mount town. It was so difficult that some of the times when I would throw up the food a little bit, you know, I would cover it up, make sure no one sees it. And then I would feel legit lightheaded because I just could not keep the calories down.
And I had already caught pneumonia/bronchitis.
Fun.
So I was on light duty. I was specially marked out. I wasn't allowed to wear boots. I had to wear my Go Fasters.
Ooh.
But we were doing some exercises or some drills or something, I don't remember, and a packet of crackers fell out of somebody's pocket. somebody had taken crackers from the chow hall
That's a big no-no.
and put it into their pocket to eat later.
I'm pretty sure you all saw that scene in Full Metal Jacket, Private Pal eating the donut. But we had somebody do this, but instead of crackers, this guy had gotten 2 peanut butter packets. So at first we thought it was this one dude, right? Because obviously they were in his, I believe they were in his Foot Locker. I don't believe he had them on him. But the drill searchers ended up finding out. He swore he had no idea, right? Now, eventually we found out that later somebody else had done it, but was afraid of getting caught and didn't know where to get rid of it without them finding it. So he just threw it into someone else's Foot Locker. I don't ever know if that was true or not. I mean, obviously, if he admitted to it, then obviously that happened. But yeah, don't take stuff from the child. And the main thing behind it is being like, you don't want ants getting in or any like little creepy crawlies, right?
That is verboten. You are not permitted to take food out of the chow hall.
No, food stays in the chow hall or in your tummy.
And the drill instructor put us all online and said, everybody empty your pockets now. He was not the only one who had taken food.
Uh-oh.
6 or 7 other people had pockets full of peanut butter and crackers and whatnot.
Oh my god.
So everybody...
Wait, I will say, peanut butter hits a lot different in boot camp. There's something about it, man. It tastes so much better. I think it's because people try to get as much protein as possible. But 2 little quick stories. One of them, same platoon back in boot camp for me. We had a guy who had taken the candy from MREs that we were field stripping, and there was somebody that told the guide and said like, hey, from what I understood, was that he was saying like, hey, we all got kind of messed up for the guy with the peanut butter packet, right? Because we all had suffered, kind of like what happened here, and he didn't want that to happen again, right? So the guide would end up telling the drill instructor, right? Because this guy was like a very straight, I guess you call him straight arrow, right? He let the drill instructors know, and then drill instructors were gonna tell us that, hey, everybody get online, empty out your Foot Locker, empty out your pockets, and empty out your money bag, right? Which is like this little green bag that we would have our like what was it, like our ID, social security card, I think it was, and any valuables in there, right? And this guy had hidden the candy in there, and when he drops it, he just goes, he's like looking down, very solemn, and then the instructor comes up and goes, in his very like little frog voice, and goes, oh, I almost said his name. He essentially knew his life was going to be horrible for the remainder of boot camp. Now, he somehow got away with it as far as he was claiming something. I don't remember what he claimed. Oh, wait, no, I think it was the S word. But he ended up getting a recycled bag. Don't even really know what happened to him. But we had something like this happen again. Instead of food, it was actually cell phones at SOY. Now, at SOY, you were allowed to have a cell phone, but you would only be able to use it on weekends. And they would keep it in a bag, right? And then distribute it on Fridays. Now, some people thought they could outsmart the system, right? And they would just be like, hey, I'm going to put in this battery pack, and I'm going to put it into a phone case backwards so they can't tell. And then they would just throw it in there, right? Nobody knew. Until one combat instructor would end up just peeking through the window on an off chance and saw somebody with the wall locker at the back of the racks, and he goes, what the hell is that? Because he saw someone on the phone, right, during the weekday. All of a sudden, we all come out, and then not only did they get that dude, I think there was like 4 or 5 combat instructors that would go in, they were yelling at him, and then one of the guys was like, you're pretty scared, huh? Because it was like a little teen guy. And then all of a sudden, they went through all the bags and found out like around 5 people had put phone chargers, right, or like the little portable charger into a case, and they called them all out. And then all of a sudden we had other combat instructors saying like, I'm actually afraid to check my platoon right now, because if they find out that their phone is not in, like, I don't know where they kept it, like a little locker or something, you know, it's gonna be a shitty week.
We had to go outside and do jumping jacks for 2 hours.
Yeah, I think that happens multiple times in every...
Except this guy.
Yeah!
Hooray, I had pneumonia! The doctor gave me a bong to blow into every couple of hours to get rid of my pneumonia.
Oh, God.
That was my treatment. Practice breathing for a while. Try and get the ball to the top of the bong.
Did you try drinking water, changing your socks, or did they give you Tylenol? which were the three things they would always tell you.
If you've done that, you'll know you have gotten your lungs back. So I had that for a couple weeks. If I'd had it any longer, I would have gotten health back. Thank God it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Who wants to be in that hellhole?
When I was in basic training, I grabbed a packet of crackers, and sometimes the machines don't do a very good job of separating them.
Okay.
So when I grabbed it, I went to put it on my tray and started walking away, and there were 4 things of crackers all stuck together. I got stopped immediately by one of the drill sergeants, who started screaming at me about how I'm not better than everybody else and I don't deserve that many crackers. This was one of the times that I got singled out. It's one of the times that made me get very good at becoming wallpaper.
Yes.
And just not standing out ever. I am a sensitive.
Bro, this was me the whole time through, up until halfway through. One of the drill instructors was talking to me, and I stuttered. Right, now at this point, only like close buddies around the racks knew I stuttered, and it would come out at the weirdest times. And when I stuttered, I always hear the drill instructor goes, and then he's mimicking me, right? And that's when I really started to stand out. And then they would consistently now ask me knowledge questions on the spot if I stuttered. Damn. I mean, this was during the second phase, so I had to go out, not on the quarterdeck, but I would be like outside in the dirt, right? And you got like all this dirt getting kicked up around. It's
Sensitive boy.
Yes.
I am a sensitive boy.
A soft soul.
And there are 3 grown men screaming at me, and I am trying my hardest not to start crying.
You have 8 crackers! You're not allowed to have that! That is 6 surplus!
They made me put all of the crackers in my mouth and say the Soldier's Creed. I could get 4 in my mouth, and it came out as
I don't know how drill instructors don't laugh at you guys.
I don't know either.
There are a couple of times where I've seen one crack a smile and then quickly turn away and put their face in their cover.
Yeah, after being in character.
they would also always do it like this, very slowly. You see that little crack of a smile. I used to make funny faces with the dude across the squad bay. We'd just go like, just making funny faces, and this dude's like, it's kind of like being in the library, right? Where you're supposed to be quiet, and then any little noise is gonna make you laugh. And when he says that he's trying so hard not to cry, no, okay, so it didn't happen to me, but I've heard stories about a certain peer who was on post. I'm not gonna say his name. If you ever watch this, don't worry, it's not gonna be linked to you in any way. This guy was on post at night for Firewatch, and he didn't know how to report, or he messed up, and then a drone started yelling at him, and you see the tears start to well up. But I don't know what it is for me. When I would get yelled at, I just felt my face going red because I would be so embarrassed. Everyone's staring. Everyone's thinking like, really got not that guy right now.
For that long, I think unless you're just a heartless person, when something stupid like that happens, you kind of just have to start laughing eventually. We were doing a brass and ammo shakedown at the end of a firing range, which I'm assuming you know what the brass and ammo shakedowns are, yes?
They want to make sure you don't have live rounds on you.
Yeah.
They don't want you to go full metal jacket when you get back.
Yeah. So we're doing a brass and ammo shakedown, and somebody, of course, in every single basic training cycle says, "No ass, no bramo, drill sergeant," and then everybody laughs at it.
No ass, no bramo.
No ass, no bramo. So drill sergeant gets up to one of the guys, grabs onto his blouse pocket.
Yep.
It's right up on the chest.
Mm-hmm.
There was something in there. What is this, Private? The fuck is this? The guy he did this to was this whole corn-fed country motherfucker. Always spoke in a super deep voice. What is this, Private? Private goes, "Oh, that's my nipple, drill sergeant." And the drill sergeant just goes, and just immediately starts laughing. Everybody is just fucking dying. The drill sergeant cannot keep it together. Everyone is just cracking up, and he's just like, what is actually in your pocket? He's like, it's trash, drill sergeant. He's just, God damn it.
They try so hard not to break character. Our friend Kirk told me a story similar to this.
if you can make one of them laugh, not only does it kind of relieve a lot of the stress of some of the other guys that they might have at that time, but it just makes, for a couple seconds at least, everybody's kind of chill, right? I remember one time when I was at SOI, we were about to run this range, and I think it was after the 15K. Well, at the time I'd had pink eye, right? A lot of people got it in our SOI, and then when I had it, you know, when he was a sergeant, yeah, he was coming around to make sure that we didn't have any like leftover rounds on us, or maybe I don't know, some brass that may have like fallen into a pocket and all that. I know, and beforehand we're always checking ourselves and all that. But before he comes to me, I tell him, Sergeant, before you check me, just know that I have pink eye right now. And he goes, and I'm thinking in my mind, did this motherfucker just hiss at me? Did he really just do that? And he started doing it to everybody.
That where they were doing mountain climbers, kicking his legs back and forth, and he jumps up and stops. And the drilling instructor says, "Why'd you stop doing mountain climbers?" He responds, "I reached the top of the mountain, drill sergeant."
Oh, let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. I've reached the top of the mountain, man. You know what? A lot of the people who were able to just do something, I mean, if you could do something funny, right? Whether it's to like towards a drill instructor or towards like a combat instructor at SOI or maybe even MCT and all that, you'll probably get special attention, right? Or a little more attention, but it's not going to be as serious, at least from what I saw, right? Because they're kind of expecting you to mess up at that point, right? If you consistently start doing that. Well, we had one guy when we were practicing drill with the rifle at boot camp. We're all online and we're just kind of doing it by our racks. Some dude, actually the rack mate of the guy who I would make funny faces with, we'll say his name is Steven. That's not his name, but you know, this guy, he was what you would call the platoon terrorist. Now, that basically means he's just like the worst one overall, right? Or just somebody who, for some reason, it didn't even seem like he would try to sabotage, right? Like as far as the competition, right? We were bigger platoon, but we're doing the one where you go rifle and then they say salute and you're supposed to like, was it put your like salute with the rifle, right, at your side. But for some reason when they said rifle, which is damn it, I forgot what the wording was, but it's like the pre-command, right, before the actual command. So it's supposed to mean, okay, I know what's coming up. As soon as they say salute, I salute. This guy for some reason goes salute in that exact tone, and the drill instructor just goes, "Why are you even here?" And he puts like his hand in, not on his face, but like in his face direction. I would say though, as far as like the best military experiences are typically not ones where you think, at least for me, it wasn't ones where, say, when I got promoted to like PFC, Lance Corporal, or Corporal. I mean, for some people it is, but for me it was more like the funny times, right? The funny times you would have, whether or not it's with your buddies or seeing something happen to someone else. I mean, whether that's guys, if you're on a patrol, falling over at night because, you know, MEGs aren't necessarily the best, or it could be moments at boot camp where everyone's supposed to be somewhat serious, right? But then, you know, little laughs crack here and there. But then again, you would also have moments where things were funny, but it's because somebody was getting chewed out and this is somebody that you didn't like, and it just, there's some kind of satisfaction with that. Or it could have been something simple as, hey, you dip and someone only had enough for like one more pinch, but they give it to you, right? That could be like a best military experience, right? Because when there's like a lot of like BS going around, right? Little things that brighten your mood tend to have a bigger effect than what you might think. So if you made it this far, let me know down in the comments. What are some of your best military experiences? Just want to say thank you for coming back. Thanks for being patient. And I'll see you all on the next video. Bye.